Alright, so here we are with Unit 1, Lesson number 6, I believe it is, and it's going to be, I guess, a relatively short lesson. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the metric system, and that's basically because we don't use most of the units that are involved in the metric system. We really just use, for example, grams and liters and stuff like that. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the metric system or conversions because there aren't really a lot of conversions that you have to do either. One of the things that you should know, of course, is that the metric system, the units, are listed on reference table D, as you can see here. And really, we only use this one. Let's see, the first, I'd say, I'm going to say meters, grams, Kelvin. We do use pascals for pressure, and joules. We don't really use seconds. We do liters, parts per million we use, and molarity we use. But you don't have to memorize them because they're on this, and you'll see as we go through each of the units when these units are being used. So it's not something you need to worry about really at this point. Let's look at the prefixes. Now, the one thing about that makes the metric system easier than the system we use, which is the English system, is that all you need to worry about are prefixes. In other words, in order to convert from, let's say, kilometers to meters, it is only a matter of moving the decimal one way or the other. There's really no division needed. Like if you wanted to figure out, if I said to you that I had a piece of wood that was 36 inches long, in order to figure out how many feet that is, you would have to do a division problem. You'd have to divide it by how many inches are in a foot. That's not necessary when you're using the metric system. It's just a matter of looking at how many places you would have to move the decimal point. And when it comes to that, whenever we need to do a conversion, we will basically go through that. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on conversions here or this. I do want to just go through a couple of conversions. This is not something that that they actually ask you to do on the Regents exam. They're not going to ask you to convert from one unit to another using a conversion factor. They really don't care how you figure out how to convert between two units. Conversion factors or dimensional analysis is something that is asked about on the SAT. So if you're going to take the SAT, which most, if not all of you, are going to take, you might want to learn this at some point. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it because, as I said, there aren't a lot of conversions on the Regents exam. And when we get to them, we'll go through them. So, for example, here's how you convert using a conversion factor. So, and I think it's easier just to give you an example. Using this here, let's take a look at number 1. Number 1 says a car travels at 845 kilometers. So that is the given unit. So this would be 845 kilometers, as you can see here. How many meters is this? Well, the unit that we need is meters. So this would be meters. So you'd put down 845 kilometers times how many meters are in a kilometer. There's 1,000 meters per kilometer. So you end up with 845 kilometers times 1,000 over 1, which is 1,000. So what you end up doing is multiplying 845 times 1,000, and that's going to give you 845,000. If you look at the second one, it's now converting liters to milliliters. So the given unit would be liters. It's 0.0290 liters times, let's look at the conversion factor. We know that the unit that we're looking for is liters. So 1 liter is equal to 1,000 milliliters. So this number is basically 0.0290 times 1,000 over 1, which is 1,000. So that would be 0.0290 times 1,000 gives you 29.0. Again, if you're saying to yourself, what is this man talking about? Don't worry about it because you don't need to use conversion factors. And when we get to these calculations, these conversions, we'll talk about them in the units. I just want to introduce you to them. Number 3 is you're converting 250 milliliters to liters. So the given unit is 2,500 milliliters times the conversion factor. 1 liter is a conversion factor. 1 liter is equal to 1,000 milliliters. So what you're doing is you're multiplying 2,500 times 1 over 1,000, which is 0.001. And you're going to end up with 2.50. And I'm just going to give you the answers to the rest of these because I don't want to make this video too long since we're not really worried too much about conversions. And again, as I said, when we get to the specific units where you have conversions, we will go over those specific conversions, but we're not going to spend a lot of time on just making, hundreds of different conversions just to practice them. And that's it.